Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America, it's a brother making his own way but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, the one and only P-Dog Knight.
Oh boy. I'm having troubles, but you know, just how it is. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. I'm your host, Marty, also known as P-Dog Knight on the internet, and welcome back to the P-Dog Knight channel, where we, boy, I just don't know what's going on with my damn computer. It's at least it looks like we're getting a smooth playback, somewhat. Well, finally, it says a bad playback even. So I don't know what's happening. Hopefully you can see me and we'll get to the show. So anyway, I've been gone since Wednesday because of the 4th of July holiday. I took it off and spent it with my family. We had a great time on the 4th of July, hanging out here with my lovely bride and one of my children and two of my grandchildren and a son-in-law and grandma and the other grandma that's a close friend of ours. Great time. Made some throw some dogs and some different types of sausages on the grill and just had a good old time. Didn't get to go in the pool though because it was raining. The plan was to have the youngest of the granddaughters first time in the pool, but that didn't happen. But that's okay. Then we had a good time, and then we went up to a friend's cabin for the weekend and just chilled out in the wilderness of northern Wisconsin. And it was a great time, and I'm very appreciative of our friend who invites us up often, and just had a nice relaxing weekend. And unfortunately, my friend Avocados Diabli, well, is I'm looking in the first sponsorship today. By the way, Avocados Diabli, you are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Who says, and I'm going to read this verbatim. Avocados Diabli says, I hope you had a better weekend than I did. Woke up Friday morning to discover my dogs had gotten into poison oak and got it all over my bed. So my entire lower half of my body, and I mean the entire lower half, if you catch my drift, was swollen and itchy all weekend. Well, yeah, I don't want none of that. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. My weekend was much better. The worst thing that happened to me is, we're in northern Wisconsin. We walk the dogs and there's lots of flies and mosquitoes, but that's the worst thing. Oh, and also the lake was up really high. And so the dock that my friend has her pontoon boat on, it was, you had to walk about through 10 feet of water just to get to the first part of the dock so you could walk out of the boat. And then the lift wasn't working on the boat, so we couldn't go out on the boat. But we didn't play golf. I played golf for the first time since my hip surgery, which was interesting. My hip felt great. It didn't hurt at all. I have bad feet and my back didn't move very well, but the hip was awesome. But, it was fun to get out on a golf course just for the first time in a long time since I'm an avid golfer. But I haven't been able to play much in the last few years just because of my aches and pains and hip problems or whatever. And so finally it was good to just get out and be able to swing the golf club without my hip hurting. And that was awesome. I loved it. And now I just I want to get back into playing at least, once a week when the weather allows in this great state of Minnesota where, golf season is coincides with construction season and so on and so forth. But anyway, so today on today's show, I want to do something different. I'm not going to talk about why is that so light? What's going on with my computer here? Let's see if nope, it's just the YouTube. Oh, there we go. It's just the YouTube channel. Anyway, I want to do something a little different. I'm going to basically go into the main topic right away because I want to make sure we get this in. What we're going to do, I want to watch this interview that Joe Biden had with George Stephanopoulos. Now, I watched it once, and then I avoided all the commentary on it for the entire weekend. So the interview was what? Was that Thursday night? No, they taped Thursday night? Or what day did they play that? I don't even know what day they played it. Maybe it was Friday. Was Friday? Anyway, whatever it was. I haven't watched it since, so I want to go back and watch it and just comment on it live, because there were some whoppers in there, and there was just it. The other thing that I will know about it, and you'll see as we go through this, George Stephanopoulos in this interview did not seem to be working as a journalist. It was almost like he was a Democratic operative, which he is anyway. We know he is. He's not really a journalist. He was, he's the communications director for the Clinton administration, and he's a Democrat, and he's a very biased, just straight up Democrat. He tries to sound journalistic and ask questions and whatnot, but he does. He's an activist. He's a Democrat activist, and that's the way this interview sounded. It was like he was trying to convince Joe Biden why he should drop out of the race, and Joe Biden wasn't having it. So I want to go through it. We're going to watch it together. I don't know if you've watched it, and maybe you have, but maybe you haven't. But if you have, maybe you can drop comments in the comment section too, and we'll go through it together. And then after that, if I have any time, which I may not, because it's a 22-minute interview, but I may let just some of it run. Then we'll just go over the news of the day. But even if I don't get to the news day, it'll be in the links today. I have links of everything that I really wanted to touch on, but I really wanted to go through this interview live earlier, but obviously it's a holiday weekend. And you know what? Every once in a while, I just like to spend my holidays with my family and not worried about being here. But I'm back in black, and so on and so forth. So anyway, let's say hi to everybody real quick. First in chat, over on Rumble, Mr. Avocados Diablo, who gets the bell. Also, I want to say hi to Asmati's in the house, and that's everyone on Rumble. That's interesting. Only 2 people on Rumble. Well, we'll see what happens. Mike usually shows up there if he shows up. It does say there's 8 people watching, so if you're watching on Rumble, just say hi in the chat. You don't have to. That's it. One time. You don't have to watch the whole show. Just say hi in the chat. Just tell me you were here. That's all I care to find out who was here, and then I'll be happy. I'll be a happy man. Oh, by the way, thank you, Avocados Diablo. Get another small bullet in the tip jar of 223, who says, even Barbara Walters, had she been doing that interview, would have at several points turned to Joe and said, Joe, did what you just said make sense in your head? Yeah, there's lots of those moments. They're really hard. Thank you, Avocados. That is so true. So anyway, so that's what we're going to do first. I'll say hi now. Let's say hi to everyone on YouTube and get started on this interview, because I want to do the interview first. It's very important to me. It's very important. Okay, here we go. On YouTube, first the chat. Wait, what the hell? Oh, I'm having a little trouble with my computer again today. Shocker, right? But anyway, good morning, Avocados Diablo. First in the chat, gets the bell. Also, good morning, Chirpy Liberty. What's up, my brother? Good morning. Good morning, Linda Hunter, who has to leave early. Also, good morning, Lord Stanhope, JB, Tyre, Alexander, the Scourge is in the house. Also, good morning, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Nice to have you back. I haven't seen you in a while, brother. Good to have you here. Renee Mance in the house. What's up? Who says good morning, heathens? Zed the Snarky's here. Patio furniture. That's it. That's a light load today. There are not a whole lot of people here, but you know what? I appreciate every one of you who are. By the way, if you haven't noticed, I've also been dropping some shorts. Not dropping my shorts, but dropping some shorts videos on YouTube. That sounded weird. Drop a short video on YouTube if you want to share those, whatever. That'd be great. This says stream's current bitrate, 2657, is lower than the recommended bitrate. We recommend that you stream at a bitrate of 6800. Now, I know that my settings, let me check my settings here. I know that I have this set at a much higher bitrate. What the hell's going on here? Maybe. No, not stream. I need output. What's my output here? Oh, this says 2500. What the hell? How did that? Oh, this must have reset. That's why. Okay, well, we're gonna fix that for the next show. We'll fix the bit rate. So if you're getting choppy video, I apologize. All right, let's get into this right away though, because I don't want to waste any more time. I want to go right into this interview George Stephanopoulos did with Joe Biden. And let me make sure it has a decent. Let's see, what's the best quality I can do? I'll try to do it at 720. All right, so we'll get some decent video on this. Let's go ahead and watch this. I want to watch this interview, and I want to talk. We'll stop it here and there, and have discussion. You can, and I'd be happy to. I'd be happy to if y'all want to. I'm gonna try to keep track of the chat, see what you're saying during this too. So here we go. George Stephanopoulos, former Clinton communications director turned journalist, questioning Joe Biden about his debate performance from the prior week, or no, it was a couple days earlier, right? Wasn't the debate on Tuesday, and then they did this interview, and this. Now, by the way, the way they presented this was going to be. They said it was going to be Biden's first interview since the debate, and I thought that maybe George would have some questions about things other than the debate, and so we'll just look at it. If you haven't seen it, well, here you go. And yeah, Biden's orangeness is growing too. Yeah, what's up with this? What's with the bronzer that he's all of a sudden using? Is it because he looks so old and pale in real life? And I don't know what Trump looks like without the orange stuff, but we've seen Trump with the orange stuff forever. He's always, and plus he's always out in the sun anyway, so I'm pretty sure he has a tan, but again, liver failure. Oh my God. Liver failure. No, it's not liver failure. They're putting some bronzer, orange fake tan on him. And sometimes they don't apply it correctly, and so like leave all these weird splotches and whatnot. All right, here we go. That's it. That's irrelevant. Let's watch this interview.
Mr. President, thank you for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
Let's start with the debate. You and your team said...
Now, first of all, he should not be smiling about the debate. Someone said to make sure you smile during this interview. That has nothing to do with anything that's been said so far, because nothing's been said so far, but I wouldn't be smiling about the debate.
You had a bad night. But your friend Nancy Pelosi actually framed the question that I think is on the minds of millions of Americans.
Yes, it is.
Was this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
We all know, anybody who's been watching Joe Biden for the last, well, I say 3 years, but ever since this the 2020 election cycle, anyone who has watched Joe Biden knows, if they're being truthful, that something's been wrong. But the media allows them to hide it as much as they can and will not comment on it. But suddenly, after this debate, everyone all of a sudden sees the emperor has no clothes. Let's hear his answer.
It was a bad episode.
A bad episode.
No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted.
What? He's slurring his words immediately into this interview. Now, this, by the way, this interview didn't really calm the nerves of the Democratic Party and various entities in the Democratic Party, the governors and the other Democrats who are running for office this cycle. This interview didn't do it because, I mean, listen to that right off the bat. Though he slurs his words. This may take the whole time of the day. I'm going back 10 seconds. Listen to this first things out of his mouth.
Is this a bad episode or the sign of a more serious condition?
It was a bad episode. No indication of any serious condition. I was exhausted.
No indication of serious condition. What is that? What were the words that came out of your mouth? By the way, good morning, GDSOB. I see you there, brother. What are the words that just came out of his mouth? I have no idea. Reaction Puerto Rico. Yeah, 20 minutes of dad, we don't think you should drive more. Yeah, I'm telling you, George, I know some of you may, if you haven't seen this interview, George is not acting as a journalist. He's trying to convince Joe to drop out. Listen to the whole interview.
Exhausted. I didn't listen to my instincts. in terms of preparing, and I had a bad night.
You didn't listen to your instincts in terms of preparing. You took an entire week off at Camp David to prepare for this debate. The excuses during this are amazing. I'm sorry. The excuses are amazing.
You were exhausted, and I know you've said that before as well.
You were exhausted. Why were you exhausted? George has already given him an out. You were exhausted, right? How can you be exhausted? You were at Camp David for a week. You only did debate prep from 10 a.m. till 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Were you exhausted? You're the president of the United States. You're supposed to be able to run a schedule that's at least from 9 to 5, and you're going from 10 to 4. And in theory, the president should be on all the time, and you were exhausted? How? Oh, you got a cold? Whatever.
Well, but you came, and you did have a tough month, but you came home from Europe about 11 or 12 days before the debate, spent 6 days.
And Stephanopoulos is not giving him that I was tired bullshit. Because that's bullshit. It's not because you were tired. We've been watching this for years of you bumbling and stumbling through all kinds of things. But the media hides it. And even in other videos, this is one of the few interviews that they don't, well, at least they say they didn't cut any of this interview. They played it all. So anyway, because like 60 Minutes, that 60 Minutes interview, y'all remember that? Man, there were so many cuts in that. Look, he does a 60-second political ad, and you have 6 or 7 cuts of something he should be able to say in one take. Hello, Amazing Disgrace. Amazing Disgrace is in the house today.
In Camp David, why wasn't that enough rest time, enough recovery time?
Great question.
Because I was sick. I was feeling terrible. Matter of fact, the docs with me, I asked if they did a COVID test because they were trying to figure out what was wrong. They did a test to see whether or not I had some infection, a virus.
He was sick the whole week? Really? But he only went from 10 to 4. And he slept the rest of the time. How? Most people can recover if they get that much time off. Most people, he's got the greatest doctors in the world. He's got the culinary geniuses of the White House, traveling with him. He's got all these things at his, at the tip of his fingers that can help him. And he's whining about being tired and sick. And I didn't know what's wrong with me. Yeah, you know what's wrong with you, Joe? You're an old fucker, and it's starting to show. And look, Donald Trump's an old fucker too, but he's not deteriorating like you are. I played golf with an 84-year-old woman this weekend. My wife and an 84-year-old woman, and she is sharp as a tack mentally. And you're not. And just admit it. Thank you, Avocado Steel, another sponsor, 223. AD says, I figured it out. Camp David is clearly haunted by the ghost of Arafat, who spent the entire weekend fucking with Joe, so he was a mess at the interview. Maybe the Dems should use this excuse. It makes more sense than the ones they have given. Exactly. Exactly. All right. So, but George does not, look, George doesn't give him an inch at all in this. Here we go.
Didn't. He just had a really bad cold.
A really bad cold. Okay, whatever.
Did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
What debate?
I don't think I did, no.
Wait, what do you mean you don't think you did? You don't, did you or did you? Did you or did you not? Hello, Tyler F. What's up? He trailed off at least 4 times and finished with, anyway. Yeah. Sniff it ain't easy. Oh my God. What, you don't know if you watched the debate afterwards? You would think that would be that you want to do, right? You'd think that'd be something you want to do. Well, at least, okay, here you go, Joe. If you do stay in the race and you do stick to that debate schedule, which is the next one's sometime in September, I hope you go back and watch this debate and realize that you have a hard time answering questions in a live setting. That's why you don't take questions at and any of the press interviews. You take pre-made questions, pre-written questions. In fact, we found out this weekend that on radio interviews, the White House provides the questions that the questioners can ask when he's in a live radio interview. So the White House gives them a choice of 8 questions. They pick 4, and he has note cards to answer all 8 questions. That's how, and we know that because we already knew that. When he comes out for press junkets and he says, I have a list of people I can call. That's because those are the people who have the questions that you have note cards to answer them with. It's amazing. Thank you, GunFox61, sponsor show with a 10 spot. You are the new Streamlab Superstar sponsor of the day. And dropping an article saying things are picking up. We'll check this out in a minute. Oh, some SpaceX stuff. We'll get to that after the interview. All right, here we go. Keep going here.
Well, what I want to get at is what were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going?
George ain't kidding. Ain't messing around. Did you know how badly it was going? And if you didn't, why didn't you?
The whole way I prepared, nobody's fault, mine. Nobody's fault but mine.
Well, no shit.
I prepared what I usually would do, sitting down, as I did come back with foreign leaders or the National Security Council, for explicit detail. And I realized about partway through that, you know, I get quoted, the New York Times had me down at 10 points before the debate, 9 now, or whatever the hell it is. The fact of the matter is that what I looked at is that he also lied 28 times.
Whoa. Okay, hang on. I want to go back to what the question was, because what was the question that he just asked? And what are you rambling on answering about? That's what I'm wondering. Let's see if we can find the question. Let's see. Let's go back a few seconds here.
For explicit detail.
Hang on.
And I realized about partway through that, as I did.
What's the question?
Did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
Okay, did you ever watch the debate afterwards?
I don't think I did, no.
Well, what I want to get at is what were you experiencing as you were going through the debate? Did you know how badly it was going?
Did you know how badly it was going? What the hell was he just talking about? I went by preparation, this and that, and then world leaders and this and that, blah, blah, blah. What does that have to do with how bad the debate was going?
More worrisome. By many accounts, as evidenced by video footage, observation,
and
control.
But part of the other concern.
I don't know why.
And how?
Hang on.
Well, I just had a bad night. You've had some bad interviews once in a while. I can't remember any, but I'm sure you did.
I've had plenty.
Like this one especially.
I guess the question, the problem is here for a lot of Americans watching is, you've said, going back to 2020, watch me. Yep. To people who are concerned about your
they're
age.
watching
and,
you now.
50 million Americans watched that debate. It seemed to confirm fears they already had.
Well, look, after that debate, I did 10 major events in a row, including until 2 o'clock in the morning after that debate.
Yeah. Oh, you mean when your wife was saying, oh, Joe, you answered every question. Oh, we're so proud of you. Answer every question. You answered them like an idiot. You didn't. You may have thought you were answering questions, but you rambled on like an idiot. What? Oh my God.
I did events in North Carolina. I did events in
yeah, all teleprompter events. That's the only thing you did. You didn't take any interviews. You didn't let anyone ask you any questions about your shitty debate performance. Nothing.
In Georgia, did events like this today. Large crowds, overwhelming response, no slipping, and so
no slipping. Oh, really? Are you sure about that? Are you sure, Joe? How do you know? You don't know.
Just had a bad night. I don't know why.
And how quickly did it come to you that you were having that bad night?
Well, it came to me as having a bad night when I realized that even when I was answering a question, even though they turned his mic off, he was still shouting. And
was he? Oh, was he still shouting? Really? Because when his mic was turned off, he was pretty much silent. Joe's, that's a lie. We all saw the debate. He was not. He was not.
I let it distract me. I'm not blaming on that.
I distract me.
But I realized that I just wasn't in control.
But part of the other concern
How
is
were you not in control? You were the one talking.
that this seems to have fit into a pattern of decline that has been reported on recently. New York Times had a headline on July 2nd, Biden's lapses are said to be increasingly common and worrisome. Here's what they wrote. People who have spent time
He's
with
saying
President
this to
Biden
his
over the last
face.
few months or so said the lapses appear to have grown more frequent, more pronounced, and after Thursday's debate, more worrisome. By many accounts, as evidenced by video footage, observation, and interviews, Mr. Biden is not the same today as he was even when he took office 3.5 years ago. Similar reporting in the Washington Post and the Wall Street Journal. Are you the same man today that you were when you took office 3.5 years ago?
In terms of successes, yes.
The same guy. In terms of successes, yes. Let's see what he says here.
I also was the guy who put together a peace plan for the Middle East that may be coming to fruition.
What? You put a peace plan together for the Middle East? That may be coming to fruition. What does that mean? You mean after Israel basically raises Gaza and Hamas? Yeah, that's pretty. Wow. Well, you sure haven't been any influence over there, which I don't care. I mean, if you start a war with someone who's stronger than you, you might have to take the consequences. But what peace plan for the Middle East did you come up with?
I was also the guy that expanded NATO. I was also the guy that grew the economy.
I'm the guy that expanded NATO. Oh, interesting. Why is that? And you grew the economy. Well, yeah, it's not hard to grow an economy that was shut down because of COVID. You killed the economy and then you grow the economy. So yeah, okay. And you did it? You're the one who did it? I don't think so.
All the individual things that were done were ideas I had or I fulfilled. I moved on.
Is it?
And so, for example,
Let's see.
Well, that was true then. What's Biden done lately? Today, just announced 200,000 new jobs. We're moving in the direction.
200,000 new jobs. Oh my. That's fairly anemic in the long-term things. By the way, your administration is like, I wouldn't, should I say famous for? Better idea. Your administration is notorious for putting out jobs numbers that are really rosy and super great, and then a month later revising them to what they really are, which is abysmal. But you put out initial job number that are, whoa, we did so great. There's all these jobs. Oh, what? You mean 90% of them were government jobs that we put together to boost this? Or 45,000 of them are auto workers who came off strike, then we counted them as new jobs because they went back to work? Or 15 million of them, 13 million were jobs people were, locked out of because of COVID? You count all those as your progress. That's amazing. You're amazing. Thank you, Avocado Stiabli, for a couple of these. First one, it says, what does I activated 10 major activated in 10 major events? Yeah, I'm so used to him talking gibberish that I didn't even catch that. I activated 10 major events, and we could see Trump the entire time. Or wow, we could see Trump. He was never shouting. Yeah, he wasn't shouting. That was a whole lie. Also, he said, I put together a pizza plan for the Middle East. Problem is, he sent them ham and pineapple pizza. Oh my God. And you are, by the way, Adrian, you are again.
You are the new Streamland Superstar sponsor of the day.
Thank you, Avocado Stiabli. All right, let's keep going here. I may not get done by 11 at this rate. 11 my time, by the way.
That no one's ever taken on. I know you know this from the days in the government. I took on Big Pharma. I beat them. No one said I could beat them.
Beat them how? You made them hundreds of billions of dollars with the COVID mandates. What are you talking about, you beat Big Pharma? You got one initiative on insulin that you copied from the prior president. What do you mean you beat Big Pharma? What does that even mean, Joe? Holy shit, what are you talking about? Yeah, he just rambles stuff out. Look, I'll give... Donald Trump does the same thing. He exaggerates a lot of shit. But I thought Joe Biden was the one who was supposed to be so smart. He tells the truth and this and that. He tells one whopper after another, and no one ever fucking calls him on it. It's amazing how the media will never fact check Joe Biden. Although they kind of started to now because they know he's demented. They're trying to get him to quit. But before these last couple weeks, nobody ever fact checks Joe Biden. And he tells lie after lie after lie. It's amazing. Here we go.
I took on all the things we said we got done. We were told we couldn't get done.
What? Who told you couldn't get what done? That's another, like he says, well, they told us we could never get it done. Really? Who told you that? Who told? Not did the Democrats in the House and Senate tell you you can't get that done, but we're going to see if we can anyway. Who's they? Who is they, Joe? That's another lie he tells constantly. Oh, they told us we could never do this. Who told you that? Nobody told you that. All you do is write a bill, get people to vote for it. That has nothing to do. We can't do. You can never get it done. Now the Supreme Court told you not to forgive student loans, and you did that anyway. I think that might be against the law. Thank God they're giving you some presidential immunity on official acts because holy shit. Hello, my favorite Canadian Jaeger pony and Simon Wilkins. How you doing? Okay, here we go. I'm going to keep going. He drives me nuts. I'm not getting very far in this.
Part of it is what I said when I ran was I wanted to do three things.
What were those three
Restore
things?
some decency to the office.
Yeah, we know all about the decency in the office. Holy shit. There's lots of pictures of the decency.
Restore some support for the middle class instead of trickle-down economics.
And you failed in that because everything costs more. Gas and whatever, everything, prices of everything. Look, they say that the grocery inflation is only like 10, 15%. And I've seen a lot of posts on people who have, like if they order stuff through Walmart, I think it is, and they looked up some bills from 2 years ago when they had this one was they had a $70 bill on things they all ordered from Walmart, ordering groceries through Walmart, right? And there's a thing you can go on there, you can go click and reorder this, right? And on their 70 bill, they click the reorder just to see how much that same exact order would cost 2 years later. And it went from $70 to $165. Now, they said it's only 17% inflation on food. That's like 130% higher. More than double in 2 years. The same exact order. Now, maybe that's anecdotal, but I've seen multiple people doing this, and it's about the same result every time someone does it. So what exactly is he talking about? Well, we're saving the middle class with trickle down. No, you're killing everybody, Joe. And you don't seem to have a real plan because that Inflation Reduction Act, all that was Green New Deal with a different name. Hello. Thank you, Zed the Snarky, dropping a big bullet in. It says this whole interview is just adding proof that he's trying really, really hard to avoid the nursing home. Yeah, you know what? I'll tell you what, though. Thank you again, by the way. It gives me some hope. It really does give me some hope as far as Joe Biden being president. You know why? Because I got to start thinking about retirement in the next, 7, 8, 10 years, whatever. And I was thinking, wow, I don't have a lot saved for retirement, so I might have to work a lot longer. But there is a really, really good retirement plan. All I have to do is run for president of the United States, and I'd be just fine. You know what I mean? If I be president of the United States, that's the greatest nursing home on the planet, as I'm finding out with Joe Biden. Anyway, let's keep going.
Middle out and the bottom up. The way the wealthy still do fine, everyone does better. and unite the country.
But
Yeah,
what
you're
has
not doing
all that work over the last 3.5 years cost you physically, mentally, emotionally?
Mentally, it didn't cost him anything mentally because
Well-
he was already a dipshit.
I just think it cost me a really bad night, bad run. But,
And lots of denial.
George, I'm optimistic about this country. I don't think we're a
He's
country
got
of
some.
losers.
That's a line that.
I don't think America's in tough shape. I think America's on the cusp of breaking through in so many incredible opportunities. This next term, I'm going to make sure we have straighten out the tax system. I'm gonna
How
make sure
so?
we're in a
How are
situation
you
where
gonna
we have
straighten out the tax
healthcare
system?
for all people? Where we're in a position where we have child care.
At least
and
for
elder care,
illegals.
free up, and all these things. The one thing I'm proudest of.
Why is the federal government getting involved in child care and elder care? What the fuck are you talking about? Anyway, hello Jesse Leon.
And you remember when my economic plan was put forward, a lot of the mainstream economists said it's not going to work.
Which ones, Joe? That's a lie. Anytime a Democrat puts out an economic plan, economists like Paul Krugman, the Nobel Prize-winning economist from the New York Times, basically, again, tongue massages your taint and tells you you're a god and you should deserve a cookie. And they always say, well, the Republicans' plan is going to cause a recession and hurricanes. Bullshit. They never tell you your economic plan is bad because they're all fucking Democrats. Nobody told you that, Joe. You're lying.
Well, guess what? You now have 16 Nobel laureates.
Oh, 16 Nobel laureates,
Economics.
probably led by Paul Krugman, by the way. Gee, that's a shocker. He's got Nobel laureates saying that his economic plan is the best. Oh my God, a Democrat can claim that. Big fucking deal.
Saying that Biden's next term would be
Obviously you failed.
based on what he wants to do, enormous success. Trump's plan would cause a recession, would significantly increase inflation. I've made great progress.
Gee.
And that's what I plan on doing, and we can do this.
I
Do what,
understand
Joe?
that, and I'm not disputing that. What I'm asking you is about your personal situation.
Notice George keeps coming back to, hey, you're fucked up, and I see it, and everybody sees it, and we want you out. Everything. This is, again, I'm pretty sure the what would you call them? The Democratic operatives. The Democratic operatives said, hey, we got to find a way to get him to see the light, but not go into the light yet, and get out of this race. And every question George asks is trying to get him to see that he sucks. Okay? Period. And are you going to recognize that your age is catching up with you, and not because he's old? Again, Warren Buffett's 91. Have you seen any Warren Buffett interviews lately? Whoo, that man is still right with it. But this man is not. Thank you, Black Hebrew Israelite.
That's right.
Dropping a deuce in the tip jar, and I will clean that up later. Black Hebrew Israelite says the reason the Democrats are mad and panicking about Biden's debate, I bet he had the full debate questions, plus everything was set up to benefit Joe. It has exposed all the gaslighting the media has been doing for the past 3 years. That's right, and that's exactly
Hammer time.
That's exactly right.
That's right.
What up, Hotep Dutch? Nice to have you here. No, that's exactly right. They set it up thinking that this debate format with no audience, mics turned off for Trump while Biden was talking, when the candidates were talking, them being able to sit, all this other shit. They set this up in theory for Joe Biden to do well. However, I think it's just the opposite. I think they know what Joe Biden is like in interviews. They tape and edit all these interviews for the last 3 years so that they cut out all this nonsense or the gibberish he talks, right? I think they set it up to expose him because they want him out of the race. They knew that he would not be able to handle this without because an audience can help him. an audience would cheer for, if his side of the audience would cheer for him, and you could kind of hide some of the shit he's saying. In this format, with the moderators not commenting or arguing or fact-checking, doing nothing, forces Joe Biden to talk. And also, Donald Trump made the very smart strategic decision to actually shut up this one time. The mic was off, he didn't say a word, and he let Joe hang himself. That's all there is to it. Anyway, thank you, Black Hebrews Unite. Appreciate it. All right, here we go.
Do you dispute that there have been more lapses, especially in the last several months?
Can I run the 110 flat? No, but I'm still in good shape.
Are you?
Are you more frail?
No.
Yes, you are.
I know you
Come
spoke.
keep my schedule.
I know you spoke with your doctor after the debate.
Your schedule's from 10 to 4, Monday through Friday. You go on vacation every weekend to Delaware, wherever the hell you go. The family compound. What are you talking about? Your schedule's 10 to 4. You call a pause every day. When you were campaigning, you called a pause almost every day at 2 in the afternoon. Why? Because you had needed your nap time. Mommy was going to feed you some milk and cookies or some pudding or some shit.
Hey, what did he say?
He said, he just looked at me. He said, you're exhausted.
Wait, what? Wait. I missed the question here because I was hearing the thing in the background here. I'm going to go back 10 seconds. Thank you, Avocado Diablo. Another small bulletin tip jar, who says, the biggest hint is the earliness of the debate. Never has there been a debate before the candidates were actually nominated by the convention. Oh, yeah. No, that's exactly why they did the debate early. Because they wanted to make sure if Biden fucks it up before the conventions, they had time to make some changes. Yeah, there's never been dates before the nominations, right? There's no official nomination right now. They can change course if they really need to. Now, the Democrats have problems because they know they can't. Kamala Harris is mad because she should be next in line, right? You'd think the vice president would be next in line, but yeah, everybody hates her. Okay. Also, just putting someone new out this late in time. I mean, Gavin Newsom's a slick talker, but he's from California, and California sucks. They could probably, it's Gretchen Whitler. I'm sorry, Whitmer, whatever the hell her name is. She can, look, most people don't follow politics like we do. Okay, so they not know what a fuck up she is. And she is a pretty good talker too, kind of like Gavin Newsom is. Now, everyone knows California sucks. But you can hide some of that stuff with Gretchen Whitmer. But anyway, it's too late for them. They fucked up. They didn't have real primaries, and basically beat kept Robert Kennedy out of the mix. I don't know. Peanut Daddy, I think it was a trap for Trump, but Joe Biden, Elmer fudded his way into it. Well, yeah, it was, but no, it helped Trump in that Trump couldn't be the boorish, person that he normally is. And Trump smartly, for the other thing Trump did that was smart is Trump wanted to talk about certain things, like immigration, especially because that's the number one concern right now for whatever reason. The economy and immigration are the two things, inflation and immigration. And he kept coming back to immigration and inflation. Every question, no matter what it was, he kept coming back to that. And he was focused. And that's another reason probably why he won the debate, because clearly Biden was not focused. All right, I got to keep going here. Here we go.
I know you spoke.
Keep my schedule.
I know you spoke with your doctor after the debate. What did he say?
He said, he just looked at me and said, you're exhausted.
And why? Why were you exhausted? You had all the time in the world. You could nap whatever you wanted to. It's so funny. Oh, my God. You talked to your doctor after the debate. Was that, you're going to make I was exhausted excuse. No, you just can't talk.
I have medical doctors travel me everywhere. Every president does, as you know. Medical doctors, some of the best in the world, travel me everywhere I go.
Do you have a Parkinson's specialist come into the White House every once in a while? Does every president get that too? I'll get to that in a minute.
I have an ongoing assessment of what I'm doing. They don't hesitate to tell me if they think there's something wrong.
I know you said you have an ongoing assessment. Have you had a full neurological and cognitive evaluation?
I get a full neurological test every day with me. And I've had a full physical.
Okay. That's a lie. Although I think he was trying to be funny, saying that being president is a full neurological assessment every day because of the job. But he does not have one every day. Nobody does. Thank you, Avocado Diablo. He says, do you think there will be screams of democracy is at stake when the Dems unilaterally select a new candidate despite the votes that were made during the primaries? I do not. I think people will blindly applaud their voice being ignored. No, no, they won't. That's another super chat there. Thank you, Avocado Diablo. No, if they do make that change, we're not going to hear about democracy. We're not going to hear about, well, we'll hear about democracy, but, again, democracy just means our people in power to them. That's the definition of democracy. Whenever you hear them talking about our democracy is at stake, or, he's a threat to democracy. Remember, in fact, I think I did a short video on that today. When they say democracy, it means our people in power. Always substitute those words when you hear one of these assholes use the word democracy. Our democracy is at stake. Our people in power is at stake. That's all they care about is their power. So there you go. Anyway, let's go.
I've been at Walter Reed for my physicals. Yes. The answer is
no, they have not done a cognitive test on Joe Biden. That's a lie. He just says, oh, this every day is the job is a cognitive test. Hello, Selecta Boy. How you doing?
Yeah, boy.
All right, let's hear how George follows it up, because George is pressing him on this.
Doctor said he consulted with a neurologist. I guess I'm asking a slightly different question. Have you had the specific cognitive tests, and have you had a neurologist, a specialist, do an examination?
no one said I had to.
Now, this is interesting, because there is a report now that there's been a specialist on Parkinson's who's been coming to the White House. Now, I don't know if Parkinson's is the right issue that Joe Biden's having. It could just be old age dementia or Alzheimer's, whatever. They've had a Parkinson's specialist been coming to the White House now, again, I don't know if that's because they have a new Parkinson's initiative coming up, or if it's because they've been having Joe Biden examined. I don't know, but that's the latest report.
No one said. They said I'm good.
Would you be willing to undergo an independent medical
Who's they said I'm good?
evaluation that
Are you willing to
neurological and cognitive tests and release the results to the American people?
Look, I have a cognitive test every single day. Every day I have that test. Everything I do. Not
and you're
only
failing
my
it.
campaign, but I'm running
And
the
you're
world.
failing.
And that's not how it sounds like hyperbole. But we are the essential nation in the world. Madeleine Albright was right. And every single day, for example, today, before I come out here, I'm on the phone with the Prime Minister of, well, anyway, I shouldn't get into detail, but with Netanyahu. I'm on the phone with the new Prime Minister of England. I'm working on what we're doing with regard to
New Prime Minister of England
in Europe with regard to expansion of NATO and whether it's going to stick. I'm taking on Putin. Every day.
Taking on
there's
Putin?
No
How are you taking on Putin?
Not those decisions I have to make.
How are you taking on
every
Putin?
single day?
And you have been doing that, and the American people have been watching, yet there are concerns about your age and your health.
George is not letting this
so that's
go.
what I'm asking.
George is not letting this go. This is supposed to be an interview on someone who's running for president, and all he's asking about is how bad you were in the debate and your health, and do you have, are you slipping? Hello, number one, and so on and so forth. George is trying to get him to see that he needs to drop out. This entire interview, it's crazy. It's crazy. This is like, these are the advisors you sit down with in the White House for an hour. But instead, George is doing it in a live interview, well, a taped interview, I should say.
To reassure them, would you be willing to have the independent medical evaluation?
Watch me there's a lot of time left in this campaign. It's over 125 days.
So
I'll
the
make
answer,
the decision.
the right answer right now is no. You don't want to do that right
No,
now.
I've already done it.
No, you haven't. That's what he's
You talked a
asking
lot about
you.
your successes at the beginning of this interview, and I don't want to
Successes.
dispute that. I don't want to debate that. But as you know, elections are about the future, not the past. They're about tomorrow, not yesterday. And the question on so many people's minds right now is, can you serve effectively for the next 4 years?
I love you
George.
tomorrow.
I'm the guy that put NATO together, the future.
I put NATO together. Say what? Say what? You put NATO together? How? Where's that button?
No one thought I could expand it.
No one.
I'm the guy that shut Putin down. No one thought could happen.
I'm the guy that put NATO together. I'm the one who expanded it, which part of the problem that Putin and the Russians are having is the fact that we're expanding NATO. For what reason? I shut Putin down? How? You mean after he bombed Kyiv yesterday? You shut Putin down. Tell us about that, Joe.
I'm the guy that put together the South Pacific Initiative with AUKUS. I'm the guy that got 50 nations, out, not only in Europe, outside of Europe as well, to help Ukraine.
Really? Because we've done 90% of the funding of it. What are you talking about?
I'm the guy that got Japanese to expand their budget. I'm the
What? Expand their budget on what? What did he get the Japanese? Anyone in the chat know what he got the Japanese to expand their budget on? Could you somebody look that up, please? I'm the one who got the Japanese to expand their budget. Somebody look that up, please. Or just make some shit up. I don't care. Put it in the chat.
So I mean, these
and George's not fact checking.
When I decided we used to have 40% of the computer chip, and we invented the chip, that little chip for the computer chip. It's in everything from cell phone to weapons. And so we used to have 40%.
What up, Woo?
We're down to virtually nothing. So I get in a plane against the advice of everybody, and I fly to South Korea. I convinced them to invest in the United States.
A plan against the advice of everybody to produce chips? Who's against the advice of who? You just make shit up.
Of dollars. Now we have tens of billions of dollars being invested in the United States, making us back in a position where we're going to
that's great.
That industry again. We have,
But I bet you didn't reduce the taxes on those businesses, so it's still hard for them to do that shit here. It's cheap for them to have someone else do it. Holy shit, you're full of shit.
I guess. Anyway.
Thank you, Zed the Snarky, who says next he's going to claim that he was the one who assembled the X-Men, the Justice League, and the Incredibles. Well, he did. The only thing he didn't do was invent the internet, because that was Al Gore. But anyway, yeah, he did it all. In fact, he came up with the name for NATO. He's the one who came up with that North Atlantic Treaty Association, whatever the fuck it's called. Anyway.
I don't want to take too much credit.
I don't want to take too much credit, though.
I guess my point is,
I don't want to take too much credit. I'm the one who stopped Putin. I think Putin's still bombing Ukraine right now.
all that takes a toll. Do you have the mental
and here
physical
George goes
capacity to
right
do it
back
for
to
another
his
4
mental
years?
capacity.
I believe so. I wouldn't be running if I didn't think I
He
would
goes
need it.
right back to it.
Look.
George is trying to get him to drop out.
I'm running again because I think I understand best what has to be done.
And you
to
have
take this
advisors
nation
that are doing everything for
completely
you.
to a new level. We're on our way. We're on our way.
To
And look,
hell.
The decision recently made by the Supreme Court on immunity. You know, the next president of the United States is.
That didn't change anything. The Supreme Court decision on immunity didn't change anything. I know you want to complain and say, oh, it makes the president a king, but no, it doesn't, because the Constitution is still there. Holy shit. Oh, by the way, thank you, Avocado Stalby. Another small bullet in the tip jar says he's referring to the Japanese expansion of their military, but they have been doing that for a long time, switching from a self-defense army to an offensive army. Well, why are they offensive to you? No, just kidding. Anyway, thank you, AD. Yeah, they have been doing that because we've kind of removed kind of the restrictions from them to having from defensive to be able to go offensive. But yeah, okay. I don't know why he thinks he gets credit for that. I'm gonna go back 5 seconds here. Oops. There we go. All right.
By the Supreme Court on immunity. You know, the next president of the United States, it's not just about whether he or she knows what they're doing. It's not,
well, that's
about
good.
A conglomerate of people making decisions. It's about the character of the president. The character of the president is going to determine whether or not this Constitution is employed the right way.
Let me ask you a tougher, more personal question.
George going right back to it.
Being honest with yourself?
George is going right back to it. He don't care what
Joe
Joe says. He's going back to Joe's mental capacity.
Yes, I am, because George, the last thing I want to do is not be able to meet that. I think, as some of the senior economists and senior foreign policy specialists say, if I stop now, I'd go down in history as a pretty successful president. No one thought I could get done what we got done.
Really? No one?
But are you being honest with yourself as well about your ability to defeat Donald Trump right now?
That's the most important question George is asking. That's the only thing George cares about. Because George is a Democratic operative.
Yes, yes, yes.
You say that, and let me challenge you.
Sure.
Because you were close, but behind going into the debate.
Now you're way
further
behind.
now. By
You're
any
further
measure.
behind.
It's been a two-man race for several months.
Joe doesn't believe
has come
that.
down.
No, it doesn't.
In those last few months,
No. Even George is telling that lie, that inflation has come down. No, it hasn't. That is a lie.
Convicted felon. Yet you're still falling further behind.
You guys keep saying that. George, you know polling better than anybody.
Joe doesn't believe
polling
it.
data is accurate as it used to be?
I don't think so, but I think when you look at all of the polling data right now,
All of it.
it shows that he's certainly ahead
And getting
in the popular
farther
vote,
ahead.
probably even more ahead in the battleground states. And one of the other key factors there is it shows
Boy, that sigh was
in many
telltale.
of the battleground states,
That
the
was a
Democrats
telltale
who are running
sigh.
for Senate in the House are doing better than you are.
That hurt him. That he's hearing
That's
the
not
truth.
unusual in some states. I carried an awful lot of Democrats last time I ran in 2020. Look, I remember them telling me the same thing in 2020.
No, they didn't.
I can't win. The polls show I can't win. Remember 2024?
Nope, it was neck and neck in
was coming.
2020.
Before the vote, I said that's not going to happen. We're going to win. We did better in an off year than almost any incumbent president ever has done.
In the off year, but the 2020, it was a complete anomaly that the Republicans did well, and all of a sudden, only Donald Trump is the one who lost. Yes, that was weird. That was strange. Thank you, Gunfox, dropping a trace in the tip jar, saying, and if Pudding Brains is still on the ballot, the left and Democrats will vote for him lockstep because they vote blue no matter who. Now, who is more brain dead, Pudding Brains or the Democratic voters? Well, yeah, and where he's going to falter. He'll falter with the independents. That's where it's going to be hard for him. Thank you, Gunfox. Back to Joe.
They said in 2023, all the tough races we're not going to win. I went into all those areas, all those districts, and we won.
All that is true, but 2020 was a close race. And your approval rating has dropped significantly since
To
then.
the
In last
lowest
poll
of
I saw,
ever.
you're about 36%.
Lowest
The number
ever.
of Americans who think you're too old
He
to
doesn't
serve
believe
has
that either.
doubled since 2020. Wouldn't a clear-eyed political calculus tell you that it's going to be much tougher to win in 2024?
Not when you're running against a pathological liar.
You are
Not
a
when you have to be
pathological
challenged
liar.
in a way that is about to be challenged.
You are a
Not when people
pathological
Lots
liar.
to challenge you.
Oh, sure I had my but I was also doing a hell of a lot of other things, like wars around the world, like keeping NATO together, like working, anyway.
I started making stuff up and I couldn't think of anything, so I'll just say anyway.
Do you really believe you're not behind right now?
I think all the pollsters I talk to tell me it's a toss-up. It's a toss-up.
All the pollsters I talk to. Which ones? Well, you must not talk to Nate Silver. And Nate Silver, usually is loves the Democrats. But all the pollsters I talk to say I'm not behind. So that means you're not talking to any pollsters.
And when I'm behind, there's only one poll I'm really far behind: CBS poll and NBC. And
New York Times and NBC both have you
Yeah,
about 6 points behind in the popular vote.
that's exactly right. New York Times had me behind before anything happened to do with this race. Had me behind 10 points. 10 points had me behind. Nothing's changed substantially in the debate, the New York Times poll.
Just when you look at the reality, though, Mr. President, I mean,
Mr. President,
you won the popular vote,
please get out of the
in
race.
2020, but
You're
it's still
killing me,
deadly
Mr.
close
President.
in the electoral.
Sorry,
college.
George.
One votes.
Yes, but you're behind now in the popular vote.
I don't buy that.
Is it worth the risk?
I don't think any.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Did you hear that question? This is a journalist, right? He's there to interview the President of the United States. His question is, you're behind the polls. Is it worth the risk? Meaning, is it worth the risk for you to stay in the race and lose so Democrats lose? Do you hear this? Does it cement the idea that George Stephanopoulos is not a journalist, which we all know, but a Democrat operative? We don't want to risk for Democrats losing the presidency. That's what Georgia here is worried about, and he's trying to get Joe Biden to drop out of the race. Thank you, Avocados Diablo. Another super chat says, did he borrow that pen from Bob Dole? Has anyone checked to see if that grave has been dug up? Yeah, that's kind of weird too. He's got the Bob Dole pen going. Oh my God, it's George. You don't even pretend anymore. Well, you don't. The problem is, no one checks you on it. You are trying to get him. You are a Democratic operative trying to get Joe Biden to jump out of the race because you're worried that Democrats will lose the presidency. That's what that last question was.
Anybody's more qualified to be president or win this race than me.
You know, the heart of your case against Donald Trump is that he's only out for himself, putting his personal interest ahead of the national interest. How do you respond to critics who say that by staying in the race, you're doing the
He's
same thing?
pressing him hard.
Well, I don't think those critics know what they're talking about.
Oh,
They're
but the
just
ones that
wrong.
say it about
He's
Donald
wrong.
Trump do?
Look, Trump is a pathological liar.
Mirrors.
Trump is, he is.
Mirrors. Get a mirror.
Have you ever seen anything Trump did that benefited somebody else, not him?
Yeah, I got a tax break. The economy was pretty good while Trump was president. He did that First Step Act. I don't know, it didn't affect me at all, but you know what I mean. I don't think that was for him. I'm pretty sure, you know, trying to slow the whatever, the flow of illegal immigrants so that people in low wage areas aren't getting competition from people who take lower wages. I think that helps people that on the lower edge of the economic system. What do you mean? Do you ever see Trump do something other than for himself? There's all kinds of stories of Trump doing shit for other people without not asking anything in return. Ask Jennifer Hudson about that.
You can't answer, I know.
I've questioned him and his allies as persistently as any journalist has.
No, I know you have. I'm not being
Yeah.
critical.
Yeah.
I'm not being critical. But look, I mean,
Yeah, I don't want to piss off the Democrat operative that's interviewing me.
the man is a congenital liar.
Congenital liar? What the
As
fuck
I
is
said,
that?
They pointed out in that
Is that
debate
like- is that like herpes?
28 times the times, or whatever number.
Yeah.
Over 20
Has anyone
times.
talked about how many lies you
good his
told during the
economy was,
debate?
How he brought down inflation, how this is a guy.
Inflation when Donald Trump, the last 2 years when Donald Trump was in office, is like 1.2%. And it's lower than when he started. So, Joe, that wasn't a lie.
Guy who, unlike only other president other than him, is Hoover, lost more jobs than he created. This is a guy who told us to put bleach in our arms to
That's a lie. He tells that lie over. George doesn't check him on that one either.
deal with COVID, with over a million people died. This is a guy who talks about wanting to get rid of the health care provisions we put in place. This is a guy who wants to give the power back to big pharma to be able to charge exorbitant prices for
Really?
drugs.
I'd like to hear what that's. I've never heard Trump say anything about that. What are you talking about, Joe?
It's a guy who wants to undo every single thing I've done.
Oh, like
Every
you
single-
did
every
when you
single
came into
thing.
office.
I understand that. and I understand that's why you want to stay in the race. But if you convince yourself that
Look,
only
George
you
is
can defeat
still
him-
always back to it.
Convince myself of two things.
The entire interview,
I'm the
he's
most
trying to
qualified
get
person to beat him.
Joe to drop
and know
out.
how to get things done.
if you can be convinced that you cannot defeat Donald Trump, will you stand down?
It depends if the Lord Almighty comes out and tells me that, I might do that.
Well, I mean, on a more practical level, Washington Post just reported in the last hour.
Wait. He says if the Lord Almighty comes down and tells me that, maybe. And George comes back with, well, the Washington Post. Is the Washington Post your Lord Almighty, George? I'm just
That
curious.
Senator Mark Warner is assembling a group of senators together to try and convince you to stand down because they don't think
And the
you can.
governors are,
Well, Mark is a good man. We've never had that. He also tried to get the nomination too. Mark and I have a different perspective.
Mark's an asshole. Oh, that's not what he was going to say. He wasn't going to say that.
I respect him.
And if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries and Nancy Pelosi come down and say, we're worried.
How do we convince
if you
you to
stay
get out
in
of the race,
we're gonna lose
George?
the House and the Senate?
Joe, that's
How
what
will you
George
respond?
keeps going to.
I go
How
into
do we
detail
get you to
on it. I've
step
spoken to all of them
down?
in
What do
detail,
we need to do
including Jim
for you
Clyburn.
to see the light?
Every
What
one
do
of
we
them.
need
They
to
all
do
said I
to
should
show
stay
the
in race.
public?
Stay
or
in the race. No one
get
said,
the-
none of the people said.
What do we need to do to get the media and the rest of Democrats, if they say that we know you have no clothes, will you finally be convinced that you're naked? This is the emperor's new clothes. It truly is. And finally, George is just the little kid who's like, hey, he's naked. Shh, you can't tell him he's naked. You can't tell him. And he's still convinced he's wearing beautiful, a beautiful gown and robes and beautiful hat, and he's fucking buck naked.
I should leave them.
But if they do,
Well, it's like, they're not going to do that.
They're not.
you
Oh,
sure?
Well, yeah, sure. Look, I mean, if the Lord Almighty came out and said, Joe, get out of the race, I get out of the race, the Lord Almighty's not coming down. I mean, these hypotheticals, George, if all...
But it's not that hypothetical anymore. I grant that.
Listen
they
to
have not
George.
requested the meeting.
This is the most
It's been
amazing
reported.
I've met
interview.
with them.
There's still 10
I've
minutes
met with a lot
left.
of these people. I've talked with them regularly. I had an hour conversation with Hakeem. I had more time than that with Jim Clyburn. I spent time with many hours, off and on, the last little bit, with Chuck Schumer. It's not like I had all the governors.
I agree that the Lord Almighty is not going to.
And a lot of them governors are like,
if
well,
you
we'll go along
are
with this, I
told
guess.
reliably from your allies, from your friends and supporters in the Democratic Party, in the House and the Senate, that they're concerned you're going to lose the House and the Senate if you stay in, what will you do?
I'm not going to answer that question.
It's very interesting. And I don't know which person in this interview is more interesting. Joe Biden in his denial and whatever and saying he's going to stay in the race, or George Stephanopoulos as a journalist pushing him to get out. What if they tell you this, will you get out? If you do this, will you get out? You mean you're polling terrible. Are you going to get out? Are you going to take a test? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? George is begging him to get out in this entire interview without saying the words. George Stephanopoulos used this interview as a Democratic operative to try to beg Joe Biden to get out of the race. It's
It's
amazing.
not going to happen.
What's your plan to turn the campaign around?
You saw it today.
How are you going to turn the campaign around? You're not going to, are you?
How many people do you get draw crowds like I drew?
Oh, holy
find any
shit.
more
And
enthusiastic
George tells him the
today?
truth here. Listen.
I mean, I don't think you want to play the crowd game. Donald Trump can draw big crowds. No
And
question.
way bigger crowds, okay? He can show way more enthusiasm than any time, any crowd that Joe Biden can By the way, you've probably seen the video, but Joe Biden doesn't like black people. Did you see that one where he's greeting people and there's, this one younger black woman there and just so excited to be able to meet Joe Biden, and he says hi to the person on this side of her, and then he goes right past her and says hi to this old lady down here and talks to the person behind her and talks to the person over here, and never even acknowledges this poor young black woman who just wanted to say hi to the president. And he completely ignored her. It's hilarious. You'll see that video if you haven't already.
How are you going to draw a big crowd? But what's he say? Who's he have? I'm the guy supposedly in trouble. We raised $38 million within 4 days after this. We have over 1 million individual contributors.
And Trump raised $44 million the day after his guilty verdict.
Yeah, I mean, I've not seen what you're.
Oh, and your big donors are dropping out. A lot of your big donors are dropping out.
The fall off in the polls. You haven't seen the reports of discontent in the Democratic Party, House Democrats.
No, because I'm not aware of all that shit.
I've heard from dozens of your supporters over the last few days, and a variety of views. I grant you that. But the prevailing sentiment is this: they love you, and they will be forever grateful to you for defeating Donald Trump in 2020.
But
they think you've done a great job as president, a lot of the successes you outlined.
But
they are worried about you and the country, and they don't think you can win. They want you to go with grace.
They want you to get out. And George is here to tell you, he's delivering the message.
The majority are not where those folks are.
He's here to deliver the message that it's time for you to get out of the race, Joe Biden. And this interview is supposed to do the job, and it ain't happening.
Have you ever seen that? I've not.
You're doubling down.
Same thing happened in 2020.
Dr. Jill's doubling down.
Oh, man, what's he going to do? He may bring me down. He may.
Mr. President, I've never seen a president at 36% approval get reelected.
Well, I don't believe that's my approval rate. That's not what our polls show.
Really?
And if you stay in,
show us your
Trump is
internal
elected,
polls,
and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I get
the requisite "how will you feel" question. I don't give a fuck how Joe Biden feels. Will you take the blame? Probably. Oh, his answer to this is kind of wild too. I'm going to go back a little bit. Thank you, again, AD, dropping another small bullet in the tip jar. Who says, I'm guessing those hours of talks Joe had with all those people consist of things like, Joe, drop out. Joe, you're losing it, and we can't hide it. And he heard, Joe, we're behind you. Joe, we totally have your back. And he totally ghosted that lady. Yeah, pretty much. He did ghost that lady. It was embarrassing. All right, thank you again for dropping. Thanks for supporting the show today, everybody. I appreciate it. It helps a lot. All right. I went back 10 seconds.
And if you stay in and Trump is elected and everything you're warning about comes to pass, how will you feel in January?
I feel as long as I gave it my all and I did the goodest job as I know I can do. That's what this is about.
As long as I can get its participation trophy.
Think of it this way. You've heard me say this before. I think the United States and the world is at an inflection point. Where the things that happen in the next several years are going to determine what the next 6, 7 decades look like.
Well, no shit. That's always that way. Every election is important.
NATO together like me. Who's going to be able to?
Why are you the only one who can hold NATO together? NATO's not going anywhere. What do you mean hold NATO together? You're expanding. You assholes have expanded NATO, adding Finland and Sweden, and now you're going to try to add Ukraine. Which, and that's part of the reason the Russians are like, look, the Russians want a buffer zone. Putin's an asshole, but still, I can understand why when you expand NATO closer and closer to the Russian border, they might have some fucking concerns. So is that a great thing that you expanded NATO or not? We'll see. But since they have been expanding, obviously NATO's already stronger. Who can hold them together? Why would you be able to hold them together when you can't even stay awake past 4 p.m? You're not holding anything together, Joe, except, maybe the tape on your diapers. Holy shit. Thank you again, AD. I just looked up delusional in the dictionary. I was surprised not to see a picture of Joe Biden. Yes, sir. Exactly. All right, let's finish this shit up. I'm the one who could hold NATO
position
together.
where I'm able to keep the Pacific Basin in a position where we're at least checkmating China now. Who's gonna do that? Who has
Anybody.
that reach?
You don't think Trump did that while he was in office? Really? How many moves did Putin make while Trump was in office? How many moves did China make while Trump was in office? No, because they think he's a jackass who might just actually push that red button. And they know it. And he's already, and Iran, what was Trump's words? I'm going to bomb the shit out of them. Yeah. They don't fuck with Trump like they fuck with you. And that's why all this shit's popping off while you're the president. It didn't happen while Trump was president. Who else is going to hold NATO together? Who else is going to keep them from doing this and that? Well, certainly not you, because they have no respect for you, Joe. They see it. They saw everything that the media was hiding from the rest of us, at least the dumbasses who don't pay attention.
Who knows all these? We're going to have, I guess, a good way to judge me is you're going to have now the NATO conference here in the United States next week.
So what?
Come listen.
So
What
what?
they say.
They're not going to be praising your sorry ass. You think they're going to come here and praise you? You couldn't even stay awake during the meetings.
Your time. Thank you.
So that's the interview. There's about, what is it, there's about 9 minutes of the ABC pundits going on and on after this. But we're not, obviously, I don't have time to do that shit. But yeah, that was the damnedest thing I've ever seen in my very large number of years on this planet when it comes to politics, and an interview by, an interviewer and a candidate, where the interviewer, who's supposed to be a journalist, spent the entire interview trying to convince Joe Biden that he's losing and that he should drop out. That was crazy. I thought George was the far more interesting part of the interview, is as far as how hard he was pressing Biden, and Biden was just like, nope, I'm in like Flynn, motherfucker, and I don't mean General Flynn, who I think's an asshole. Not me. Joe Biden thinks he's an asshole. George pressing him. Every question went back to, about your mental acuity. You're losing in the polls. If you do this and you lose, how are you going to feel if you cause, Democratic senators and Congress people to lose their races? He wanted Joe out of, his job in this interview was to see if he could convince Joe Biden that he's losing, his campaign sucks, he's too old, and he needs to get out of the race. Joe Biden wasn't having it. It's amazing. Thank you, Avocado Stiabli. Another one. Another small bullet in the tip jar says, the quote was, "We are checkmating China. Checkmate means you won. The expression is, we're keeping them in check, and we are not even doing that, Joe. Also, goodest job." Yes, he's doing the goodest job ever. Thank you, Avocado Stiabli. I saw Dutch said that too. What's gooder than goodest? Oh, thank you. Joe was the goodest president ever. Everyone's making fun of the goodest part. Yeah, I was so busy thinking about what George was saying that I didn't catch that. All right, so anyway, we're at the end of time for the show, but I do want to do a couple more things here, because I want to go through a couple things that are happening in the just the trending stuff that's happening. Stephen King is in the trends today. Stephen King, is Stephen King going MAGA? I don't know. Stephen King, Joe Biden's lost Stephen King, and that's funny because here it is. Stephen King says Joe Biden has been a fine president, but it's time for him, in the interest of the America he so clearly loves, to announce he will not run for re-election, to which Elon Musk says, well, damn, even Stephen King is voting for Trump. Well, that's not really what's happening. But yeah, now the celebrities that are staunch Republican or Democrats or whatever, I'm Bidening here, Even the celebrities that are staunch Joe Biden supporters are faltering. Let's just put it that way. Also trending, what was this one? Oh, Paul Revere is trending because, oh my God, Marjorie Taylor Greene did something stupid, which, is not completely out of character. She put this tweet, because I know people are talking about the average age of the signers of the Declaration of Independence, which was 44 years. But she said the average age of the signers of the Declaration of Independence on July 4th, 1776 was 44 years old, but more than a dozen were 35 years younger. And here's the ones who she lists. Thomas Jefferson, okay, he was 33. John Hancock was 39. James Madison was 25. Alexander Hamilton was 21. James Monroe was 18. Aaron Burr was 20. Paul Revere, what? Paul Revere didn't sign that Declaration of Independence, and that's why people are making fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene. I'll even take the Keith Olbermann hit on this one. She thinks Paul Revere signed the Declaration of Independence. What? Maybe Paul Revere and the Raiders. Okay, no. But anyway, apparently James Madison, Alexander Hamilton, James Monroe, Aaron Burr, Paul Revere, and George Washington were not signers of the Declaration of Independence. Is that true? I thought Hamilton. Oh no, that was before. They weren't. No, they didn't sign the Declaration of Independence. They were ones who helped craft the Constitution, not the Declaration of Independence. But anyway, so that's why Paul Revere is trending, because people are making fun of Marjorie Taylor Greene. Boeing is trending. They apparently they lost in a case or doing a huge settlement. Boeing will plead guilty to criminal fraud conspiracy charges related to the 737 MAX crashes in 2018 and 2019. They will pay a $240 million fine. Laws that can be settled with a fine are just legal for a price. People committed those crimes on purpose, put them behind bars. Yeah, they probably should have had some... somebody should go to jail. But anyway, so Boeing will plead guilty and they're going to have a $240 million fine. Because they accepted a plea deal. So they're just paying off. I'll put the AP story in the links too, if you want to read it. Also happened in the news today. Kyiv is trending. Apparently, Russians, now, I don't know the confirmation of this, but apparently the Russians in their war against Ukraine, some of their ordnance may have hit a hospital in Kyiv. And so there's a lot of people talking about the Russians bombed a children's hospital in Kyiv. And let's see, down here it says Kyiv, terrible footage from Okamadik Children's Hospital. NATO summit begins this week in Washington. The participants sees these recordings and again will not decide anything. Okay, Ukraine is not a member of NATO. And as awful as this is, let's see, here it is. This large child health center in Kyiv was hit with Russian missiles. I repeat, this is a baby's hospital. So it's not only a terrible thing, but it's also going to get its propaganda bona fides on this. And look, fuck Putin, fuck the Russians and their shit. But the idea that Ukraine has been good guys in all of this, you haven't understood the history of the Donbass region, what was going on over there, and the corruption in Ukraine. So I don't even know what to, I'm not going to contribute anything worthwhile about this other than it's in the news. Let's see, what was this? Sorry, my computer does not refresh fast enough. By the way, good morning, Protocol. Nice to see you, man. Welcome back. Hotep to you too, sir. In the links, there's a couple articles here about how migrants, the mayor of San Diego has been doing a lot of interviews lately. And he's upset because, and brought to our attention the fact that over 250 illegal immigrants have been dropped into San Diego County in the last 10 months. 250,000 in San Diego County in the last 10 months. And he points out that they get free health care, including free sex change operations if they want, free college tuition, and some programs are giving him down payment money on homes. It's crazy. San Diego's already spent $6 million on a migrant welcome center, and they just allocated another $19 million for that. He said, if you live in California and you are a law-abiding citizen that pays the ridiculous taxes they charge, your own government is replacing you. California has the highest taxes, highest gas prices, more homeless than any other state, rampant drug problems, and a huge budget deficit. And but also, and people can vote in the state without ID in California, and the illegals are pouring into the country. So there's several interviews in this article. I also put a link to one of his interviews right here on X. Breaking the mayor of El Cajon, California, just real video. Oh, sorry about that. It should be working again. Looks like we reconnected. Okay, we're good, aren't we? All right, we're back. So I was saying that Patriot Front was marching in Nashville. And it's funny how they just show up all of a sudden when Joe Biden needs a boost. You know what I mean? They all of a sudden they show up and are shown marching through, some city. But what's wild is that no media organization has done any extensive interviews with any of these assholes. When they get arrested, even when they get arrested, they're allowed to hide their faces. So there's an article here it's a X article called "The Patriot Front," aka Democrats in khakis, which they're not necessarily, but many of you see the videos of the khaki pants wearing, face hiding, U.S. flag waving, super fit, not fat, not tattooed, military marching, all white members of the Patriot Front, and wondered yourselves, geez, these guys sure look like feds trying to set a honeypot, don't they? Me too. In fact, I posted a thread about it on X about how none of these young men had tats and therefore matched FBI policy, and it got a bit of attention, so much attention that an astute follower linked me to a YouTube interview with the ostensible founder of the Patriot Front, Thomas Rousseau, which he links that YouTube video down here. I say ostensible because a lot of people think this Rousseau character is a Fed deep fake false flag, and as nefarious as our Stasi-like security apparatus has been in the last 8 years, I cannot discount this possibility. Yeah, so these assholes claiming to be white nationalists and whatever, which they probably, and they may well be for all I know, I don't care. But it's just so weird how little attention they get from the actual media, like actually talking to some of these dickheads, and how little attention they get from the feds, because the feds are saying, well, the most dangerous, most likely to be terrorists and domestic terrorism are the white males. Well, this is a whole bunch of white males that they should be looking at, right? And why are they wearing masks? And why has nobody seemed to identify any of them? Gee, I mean, is that by design? Because they're not really what they look to be. So anyway, a couple articles on that. Excuse me. Oh, this is a dumb. Okay, I'm going to skip this. This is someone who doesn't know what a boomer is, like a baby boomer. And he's blaming baby boomers for the reason why 20-year-olds, 20-somethings are not being able to buy shit and buy homes and shit. And I always laugh at these people who complain about boomers all the time. So this is, well, let me do this. I'll just read this post. He says, I know how countless people who still have to work tirelessly and countless hours just to pay rent. They're in their 20s and 30s, no savings, and are single because they haven't had time to look for a partner because of their job. When I ask what their family is doing, most say their parents are wealthy, retired, or having a blast. Hang on. When I ask them why their family won't help them out so they can find a partner, their answer is always, they don't believe in handouts. I could never ask them for help, or I could never ask for them for help. Now listen to this. He's blaming this on boomers. Here it is.
The boomers have successfully nuked their bloodlines by hoarding all the wealth, telling their children they have to start at zero while they giggle and give all their money away to some cause or spend it themselves. They had no values, no long-term vision. They taught independence over family while telling their kids they're worthless if they don't get rich. Who are they talking about? Also, here's the problem with this. Here's the problem with this kind of thinking. And there's an article in the Wall Street Journal called "We're Not Dead Yet. Baby Boomers' Good Times Drive the Economy." When I was a little... Okay, so look, I'm the last of the boomers, right? Technically. I'm in that middle kind of transition generation because I was born in 1964. So I would be the youngest boomer, okay, or the oldest Gen Xer. So think about that. I am 60 years old. That means a vast majority of boomers, actual boomers, are in their 70s and 80s, okay? With some are in their 60s, depending on when you say the boomer generation started. Well, yeah, the boomers who've saved all their life or whatever and are retired are going to have more time to have fun. Their kids are not in the house, so they'll have more money to travel. What do you expect? And they have nothing to do with the 20 or 30-somethings. I'm the youngest of the boomers, and my kids are in their 20s and 30s. So it's not... why would everyone else... The 20s and 30s are their grandparents are in their 70s and 80s. We're not your parent. We're not the people you're talking about's parents. And I also think, wow, all these 20 and 30 something they're struggling. I'm thinking, holy shit, my daughter and my son-in-law, they have 2 kids. She's a stay-at-home mom, 1 income. They just bought a house. They're doing pretty good. I mean, are they rich? No, they're budgeting and saving and doing everything they can to make sure their family is doing well, and they're doing great. My son and his wife out in Denver, no kids yet, great jobs, doing that stuff. They travel a lot. They do a lot of cool stuff. Is it every 20 and 30 something that are like that? No. And we weren't rich growing up. Me and my wife are not rich. We are going, we have some delayed gratification. But because our kids are not in the house now, we do have a little more money that we can put. Some we can put away. Some we just travel locally. We travel every weekend somewhere. We drive. We do small trips to cool little places and cool little towns all over the Midwest. But it's because we don't have to spend all our money on our kids anymore. So, yeah, the retirees and the boomers that have money, they get to spend it on themselves for a change. And then when they die, they will leave some of it to your sorry asses who are complaining, we don't have as much fun as our grandparents. Of course you don't have as fun as your grandparents. Everyone has to work to live. Nobody gets free lunch. Imagine if we were still in medieval times, or even earlier, the caveman days. Everyone had to work to eat. Oh my God. Does that mean you have to work to eat now and have to work to have shelter? But then you had to go hunt some shit and build your shelter with your bare hands and whatever. Yeah, your parents took care of that for most of your life. And now you're out in the real world and you have to actually do something to survive. Oh my God, you might have to have a job. Oh, the horrors of it. Yeah, welcome to adult life. And yes, it's harder now thanks to Biden inflation, but still, don't blame the boomers on your situation. When I was a child, my grandparents took a trip to Hawaii. I'm like, oh wow, that's pretty cool. My grandparents, they were born in almost around the 1900s, but it's because they were grandparents and they didn't have to spend their money on their kids, our parents, and so now they could travel and do stuff. And that was pretty cool for them too. It's a generational cycle. When you become parents, you have less money because you're spending it on all your kids. Then when your kids move out of the house, oh my gosh, you have a lot more money. You can fix stuff in the house that you couldn't fix before because you were paying for, the basketball, shoes and clothes and food and shit for your kids that you don't. And then when they move out, you don't have to spend that on them anymore. No shit. Wow, that's how life works. So Quit bitching about the boomers because they have some money and you don't. That's because they worked all their fucking lives to have that money. Now it's your turn. That's my TED Talk. Good luck. All right, that's it. There's a bunch of other stuff, but I got to go. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today on the Morning Night Live. I will be here the rest of the week, Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, roughly, because usually later than that, but around then. So, you know when to look, check it out. And if you follow me, you just get a notification, then you don't have to worry about it. So anyway, I got to go. Thank you for, wait a minute. One more. Thank you. Avocados Diabli, thank you for the super chat on Streamlabs, who says, Avocados Diabli says, this annoys me. My parents are boomers. During my childhood in the 70s, my parents worked their asses off and struggled in their 20s. Dad got laid off every winter, went to school to make himself more capable and of a better career. Mom did the same. Exactly. Duh. What does everybody do in their 20s? They struggle because they're finally out of the house and they got to figure out how to pay for their life. Okay, so that's it. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Got to go. My name is P-Dog Knight. I'll put the links in the chat. And I'm out of here. Bye-bye. Have a great day. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.